Hi, in this video I want to show you how to access the completion summary for a quiz that you have added objectives to from your competency structure, and quite possibly also associated specific questions with those objective items. There's a really simple way to see your results. I know in the previous video I went into a lot of detail about results and statistics, but as I've been working more with this, I realized a very user-friendly way of seeing basic results at once. So let's take a look. If I click on my quiz link right here, as you can see, I have the activity details and the learning objectives tab where we previously added learning objectives and also added an assessment to those objectives. And I also associated specific questions with each objective. So now we can go and look at the data from that. Let's see, I'll just have to navigate back. For some reason it doesn't go back exactly to the last screen. So anyway, if I pull up the quiz editor again, I have activity details and learning objectives where I was just reviewing with you. But if we click on the completion summary tab, now I'll see every student in the class, and I can see the attempts they made at the quiz and also their final scores. And then what's interesting is if I click on one of these students, say this one that got about almost a 97% on the quiz, if I click on this first sample student and scroll down, it'll give me very easily each objective I added to the quiz and the achievement status for that objective. So I can see this student achieved all the objectives. I can see the threshold level I set for all those objectives, and then the particular score that student got on the set of questions related to that objective. So for example, for Aboriginal art, the threshold was set at 33%, but this particular student got 100% of the questions in that section right. So he got all the Aboriginal art questions right. For maybe this one down here on Native American art, you can see that the student maybe didn't achieve 100% of the questions in that section. So maybe they missed a question. And just keep in mind that you can vary the point values for each of your questions. So maybe some of your questions are 1 point, some might be 2. So this percentage is based off the total number of points for the questions that you tagged, not just the number of questions. So keep that in mind. That's what this percentage reflects. So anyway, if we look at a different student, which this is kind of annoying, you kind of have to navigate back to the quiz to get back to the previous screen. That kind of annoys me. So if I click on my quiz again and I navigate back to the completion summary and I look at another student, let's say this Navi 2 here that did not pass the quiz because you need a 70% to pass the quiz, and we look at his objectives, we can see that he actually passed all the objectives that I tagged to this assessment because so maybe that would tell me I either want to maybe switch my threshold level a little bit for that, but you can see that the objective that this quiz activity is associated with, he did not earn this objective because you need at least a 70% to achieve this objective, and he did not meet that. So even though he passed all the objectives that I added through the quiz editor, did not get the actual objective that is associated with this quiz item. So that's kind of interesting. And then if we go back to the third sample student, I did something a little different with that one. And we click on our quiz again, and we go to completion summary. If we look at the second Navi here, who did pass the quiz and got almost an 83%, which, you know, maybe as we're looking through our list of students, we'll see the green check mark light up and we'll see it's an 82 and we won't think too much of it. But if we did look in detail at that, we would notice that the student achieved each objective that I added to the quiz. And you can see that they got 100% on most of these, and this one just slightly below. But most of the questions that the student missed came from this Easter Island objective. So they missed almost every question in this section. So that might be interesting to note as you look through. Maybe your student has a respectable score. Maybe they just barely met your threshold. And then when you look more into it, it might be interesting to note if all the questions they missed came from a very specific, like, and maybe even one objective. That would give you some insight to think, well, they missed all the questions from this one objective. Why aren't they understanding this one objective? Did they just skip the lesson altogether, or are they missing something? Something is not relating to the student here. So even though they passed the quiz, maybe that might be something to go over the student. Maybe they would need remedial content because maybe in your class this particular objective is needed in order to earn a different competency or to build with the next unit. So just keep that in mind when you're looking. But I just thought that was a very easy way to see results from my added objectives and associated questions through the quiz editor. Just by clicking on the quiz link and going to completion summary, I can see all the students, and then I can pick a particular student and quickly bring up their results. And I like this because I can see every tagged objective and quickly see the achievement status for each one of those for any specific student. And that is what I couldn't find before the first time around doing this. But then after I found it, I was like, wow, that's great. I'm going to add this to our list of resources. So anyway, I hope you found this helpful, and thank you for watching.